kuchimake kwa nkhani zenizeni. Ngati nkhani imeneyo kuno kulibe, dziwani kuti nkhani imeneyo ndi yabodza. Takulandirani ku AMTV Malawi, kuchimake kwa nkhani zenizeni. Ngati nkhani imeneyo kuno kulibe, dziwani kuti nkhani imeneyo ndi yabodza.
As 50 minutes and the endurance of 4 hours and the alternate airports of Zomba and Chileka. In response to the aeronautical information officer's questions as to why the co-pilot filed a direct route and wanted to fly at a lower altitude, she replied that they had experienced bad weather on the flight to Lilongwe. So I know you have got rules, but I think the aeronautical officer was asking and was surprised, why do you want to fly at a lower altitude? Meaning the 9,000, which was filed to her, was lower altitude. So according to your statement, if it's true that when you are flying out of Lilongwe, you use odd, why was this officer surprised that instead of 10, these people are using 9? And it was a surprise to her.
Just confirm, you said that is from the BFU report? But let me say that 9,000 feet, that is applicable to ICAO rules. That is applicable to ICAO rules. And you cannot question somebody about that. Secondly, the duty officer had no, I should say, shouldn't have taken the responsibility to say, why are you flying on this level? That could have been the duty of the air traffic controller, not from the AIS briefing office. He can only do that to say, okay, you are going to Mzuzu, I have not taken the levels required flying to Mzuzu, but not the altitude opted by the pilot.
Thank you very much. One of our responsibilities as a committee is also to look at the BFU report and also try to tighten it up here and there. Where it's not making sense, the chair and the committee are also going to report on the BFU report. So I think this is something that we have also taken note of. Chairperson, as I've said, my colleagues have exhausted all my questions, but the final one, I think it was Tondwe Mulanje who said your information, or maybe the information that you gave to the country, that a pilot said there are 20 nautical miles north of Mzuzu, led to search and rescue efforts being shifted towards Ikwendeni, and you have said it is very unlikely that the late Colonel Sambalopa could be confused between north and south. My colleagues have also hammered you, I should use that language, for providing this 5-kilometer visibility to the crew at 12 minutes past 10, which might have led to the pilot making a decision to change route towards Ekwendeni. These two issues, I wanted to emphasize on them because we have got no recorded information of that call that came from the pilot in command, and he's not here to defend himself. We are still looking at you to provide us with information that was given to you on that particular day. The 5-kilometer visibility which you provided, and yet you are not an expert of meteorology, is also something that we want to hear more. That's why, Chair, through you, I would request him to submit to the committee the documents where he is required to provide the weather information as part of his DORs. He mentioned ICAO. So we expect you, Mr. Moyo, to provide the chairperson with that information so that we verify that indeed you as a flight officer, you are mandated to provide this information. Because if it's not, then I think the chairperson and the committee will be interested to find out more. So finally, with those two issues, I'm tempted to ask you, Mr. Moyo, if on the 10th of June 2024, you were in the right mind, medically, if you had any illness, or indeed, if you are taking any medicines, any drugs. I'm asking this because we know you are very experienced, but in case whereby you are also you are not feeling well, or you are under influence of certain medicines, maybe that could explain some of these inconsistencies. So, Chairperson, I just wanted him to confirm that on that particular day, he was in his right mind, health-wise, he was physically fit, and he was not taking any medicines that might have impaired his judgment. I submit, Chair.
Thank you, Honourable Member. I don't know what you mean by inconsistence, or what it means with the maybe the health issues at that particular time, because otherwise I don't think explaining myself to this question.
Thank you, Chairperson. I started by referring to what you said in response to one of the questions, whereby you confirmed that it's unlike late Colonel Sambalova to be confused between his north and south. I think you said that. And also that you provided information about visibility in Mzuzu, which was beyond you in terms of your expertise. And I'm also asking, because you didn't come with the ICAO procedures or clauses that allow you to provide weather information to the pilots. So, in absence of those ones, I'm asking, maybe, it's just a maybe, and I'm underlining maybe. Maybe you had some health issues on that particular day. Maybe you are taking some medicines on that particular day. We just want to rule out that. Because if you rule out that, then indeed, we should be believing you to say, yes, I think this is what transpired. Colonel Sambalova is not here to defend himself, whether he said, indeed, 20 nautical miles north. And there's no recorded information on that transaction that you had with the late Colonel Sambalova. I didn't want to ask to say, what are your drinking habits? But I'm just, because I'm a doctor, I'm looking at the medicines only. So maybe, Chair, if you take the floor, maybe. But you also don't drink. But I'm asking on the side of medicines. Chair, submit.
Okay, thank you, Honourable Minister. I don't know by what you mean that somebody doesn't drink. I don't know. But all the same, the thing is, I can also not submit myself to what happened to Colonel Sambalova. As you have already put it, he's not here. So I cannot say he misjudged between the north and the south. That's why I say, I am not so sure of what happened, because I don't know. But what I get is the information that the pilot has transmitted on my radio or on my frequency. That's what I put it on the paper. So that's that, Honourable Chair. Thanks.
I think we can wind up. Yeah, let's wind up. Mine is just Mafana Malize? Okay.
Chair, I am just interested with a few parting questions, and I wanted to refer to the weather report that was provided yesterday by Mrs. Chavunguma. I wish if I can share this copy with Mr. Moyo, if that's possible, because my questions will be referring to this copy. Yeah, so I just wanted to, Chair, if you look at the copy of weather that he has brought today, he has only quoted the 10 a.m. weather. And but Mrs. Chavunguma copied the weather from 4 a.m. up to almost in the afternoon. I just wanted to bring to your attention only the signatures on that report of the observer. And then, have you noticed that signature there? The observer?
Yeah, I've seen it.
Okay, like from 4 a.m. To the subsequent times, 4 a.m. GMT to the subsequent times, and by around 8 a.m. or 10 a.m., the signature of the observer has changed. Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted you to, then there's the other signature there at the bottom. It is looking consistent throughout the whole presentation. Have you noticed that?
Which bottom?
There are only two signatures appearing on the observer, and then there's another signature which doesn't have a reference, but it is just appearing at the bottom on the numbers there. At the bottom.
I have seen it.
Okay. Since you've been there for about 16 years, do you know these individuals with these three different signatures?
Correct. I know them. Where it is written observer, I know he was the one who was on duty until the other one came in. The beneath signature, that's my signature. That's why it is continuously there.
Okay. According to your experience, we know Mrs. Olive Chavunguma. Is she in one of those signatures as observer or any other?
She is not there.
Have you noticed that the part on checked by is blank throughout?
Very correct. It is blank because that one is done by the forecaster. At that particular time, we didn't have a forecaster. We only had an observer. That's where the signature is.
Since there is a discrepancy between the presentation on your visibility assessment, the two officers, they look like they are maintaining the visibility assessment. And now you are coming in as a third observer on the visibility assessment. I am trying to understand, do you know the qualifications of these observers? Because I want to know who has a higher academic qualifications or what. I just want to know if you know their qualifications of the professional qualifications of these two observers. Because you have said the Met expert, who is Mrs. Olive Chavunguma, who is the overall boss, has not signed anything here.
Okay, thanks very much. I think on the academic qualifications and the like, it doesn't matter when it comes to professionalism. So I will only say these people who are here, the signatures are here. They are the aviation meteorologist observers. That's their qualification. That's the certificate they hold.
Okay, so you are sure that they have a special certificate in whatever they were doing here. But then their supervisor, whenever there was that discrepancy with what you had observed, I guess maybe it was the time for you maybe to ask the higher authority at that moment who was their supervisor? Or should we assume that the supervisor was part of the observation? Is that the way you work?
Okay, thank you. Well, I don't have to go that far to check in somebody's office. But what I know is I have got the meteorological weather report. It is signed by the observer. He has given it to me. And I have checked it. I have seen it is okay. Then I sign for it. Because I don't just assign my signature there if this information is incorrect. And you have also to bear in mind, I have said this report, they are done hourly. There is like a maintenance of the visibility at certain point, all right? But what I have said is the weather can change within minutes. Sometimes I've witnessed aircraft saying, no, I think this weather, I am not going to land. He flies for maybe 5-10 minutes. How is the weather there? It is now clear. No clouds. I'm coming back. He comes back. He's about to land. The weather changes again. Then he said, no, I'm going back. So he said, the controller is cheating that pilot? No. I am not to do with the nature myself. It just comes, I have to advise the people.
Now, on that one, you are very safe because the Met expert yesterday indicated that there were Chipiloni winds and the Mwera winds, something like that, and that there was that. So somehow the changes with the speed of wind and all that, I totally agree with you. I just wanted finally to know about your I could put it in the catchment area, or where do you say for a plane that is coming to Mzuzu, at which point do you say the plane is now in the hands of Mzuzu? I heard of a NASA something that you people NASA airspace, something like that. So for Mzuzu, at which point geographically would you try to put it to say you are now in the airspace of Mzuzu? Chair, I'm asking that question particularly because somebody might interpret that arriving in that airspace, it means you are now in Mzuzu. So I want him to explain that which distance do you call Mzuzu in terms of kilometers, to make it simple.
All right, Honorable Chair, I think I answered this question earlier on. But all the same, let me put it very clear. Mzuzu doesn't have an airspace. The position you are saying in NASA, it is on the route where the terminal control area of Kamuzu International Airport terminates. So from Kamuzu to that, we call it a reporting point, that NASA is 50 nautical miles. From there, the aircraft can contact Mzuzu. But still more, if the other one is flying at a higher level, more than 14,000 feet, he is still under Kamuzu. But for the purposes of weather, if at 50 nautical miles position NASA, he can contact Mzuzu. You only get the weather, not the clearances to descend or whatsoever. No. Responsibility still becomes in the hands of Kamuzu because he is the owner of the airspace in Malawi. So I think on that one I can end it there.
Thank you, Chair. My last is just an observation. Chair, I just wanted to say we have this challenge here that we have a military aircraft flying without recording devices, the black box and whatever. That's the assumption. And then we have the airport, which has totally no recording devices, and then it's carrying the VVIP. And then that's the challenge that we have at this moment as a country. Thank you.
I think we should now come to a conclusion. I'm just curious, just out of interest. There's a handwritten report at the back attached. Do you recall this report? I think you're the one who attached it.
Yeah, that was the... I retrieved it from the logbook, from what was happening on that particular day. So that one is in the logbook. And I read somewhere in the sermon that maybe if you have got some logbooks, so I just captured that one. So, okay, this is what I wrote in the logbook on that particular day.
So when was this written? Would you recall?
It's written at the same time the things are happening. Or it is written at the moment you enter into the office that you are starting the duty. So if you can see, I opened the office at 0430, which is 0630 local. So I had all my things there, you can see, until the incident and then the accident.
Now, I was just curious why you didn't mention the major milestones of 5-kilometer visibility in this report, 20 nautical miles in this report. Because for me, there were major issues that should have been reported or recorded on that particular day. So I read through, I couldn't find 5-kilometer visibility. A report you wrote on the day. I couldn't find 20 nautical miles. A report you recorded on the day. It was just very basic. And then you come to this report, and this report is more elaborate. Okay, I'm wondering, how did you recall all that information 2 years later? Okay, and then even the report on how the decision to go to Ikwendeni on this day, it just says the pilot was proceeding to Ikwendeni, you know, as if something didn't trigger the pilot to go to Ikwendeni. So I was just trying to understand, when was this issued? 2 years later, there's more information, you know, that is coming up here.
Thanks, Honorable Chair. I have said this one is written in the logbook, so we only mainly dwell on the timings and the registration of the aircrafts and the people who were on board. That's why something with to do with meteorological is not actually recorded in that report. I could not say that report, or I should say this one is like a daily log, or what we call an occurrence book. So we just put that preliminary information. Now, on the other report, you are saying I'm putting it 2 years later. If you look at the report, I wrote it on the 12th June. Yeah, so everything was concluded on the 11th. So when I looked at my occurrence book, and then when I took my progress strips, which I have, so I had all the information, the timings, and the like. So it wasn't a problem. Thank you.
No, you've clarified very well. Meaning to say there was no specific report for the committee. What we're reading now is a report that was submitted then. You came here, you read your report, which was prepared in 2024, right? Yeah.
Yeah, correct.
Correct. Understood. You must be a very busy man. At the office, you're also the officer in charge. You do a lot of things there. Am I correct? Last time we came there, we felt for you. Are you still doing all those things, manager, supervisor, accountant, an administrator. Can you confirm?
I have only left one position of the officer in charge. It is now in the other hand of another person. But the rest I'm still maintaining.
That's the pressure you're under. And I hope on that particular day we're not under pressure attending to other critical activities and other stuff. But there's clearly a need there for clear separation of roles and responsibilities. You can't have an officer and an air traffic officer doing all those things. And we feel for you, we empathize, and hopefully some changes have to be made as we make our recommendations. But this is one of the observations we made. You may have final words to say. We've had a long chat with you, probably one of the longest, but understandably so. Do you have your final words?
Thank you, Chair. Not much to say about, but I can only say thank you for inviting me to this ad hoc committee. It has been a pleasure. Though it has been long, but something has been learned. And I hope something is going to change through your reports. I thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm sure we'll meet at our usual place. Today is Friday, so I'm inviting you to a glass of juice and plenty of water. Okay, but we're wishing you a safe journey back. I hope the weather is okay now in Chikangawa, but we're wishing you a safe journey back. Thank you very much. You may take leave.
Thank you.
Osaiwala kupanga subscribe ku channel ya AMTV Malawi. Osaiwala